The Sun Belt is on the offensive after acquiring Southern Miss, Marshall, James Madison, and Old Dominion. For now, the Sun Belt is expanding from 12 to 16, but multiple reports have Arlington and Little Rock leaving the Sun Belt by the time Marshall, Southern Miss, James Madison, and Old Dominion join, but their destination is not yet determined. So, in all likelihood, the Sun Belt will be going from 10 to 14 once those four join, and divisions are expected to have a dividing line in between Alabama and Georgia. First, a school I thought the American should have made an exception for in their big market spree and added. Marshall is located in the number 75 DMA. They're 288 in U.S. News. They're an R2 Carnegie Research School, 13,000 enrollment, $145 million endowment. They would be top four in non-allocated revenue in the Sun Belt, top two in ticket sales, and top five in self-generated revenue. Marshall football would be top three attendance in the Sun Belt, top four football budget. They have a 5-year Massey composite of 73. They're the 92 and 96 D1AA national champions, 5-time MAC champions. MAC fans will recall Marshall fans really filling up the other venues in those days. In 99, they finished top 10, 13 and 0. 2014 Conference USA champions, and Marshall reunites with their former SoCon rivals Appalachian State and later on Georgia Southern. Marshall basketball would have a top 3 men's basketball budget in the Sun Belt, top 2 men's basketball attendance, and they're coming off a 2018 NCAA tournament victory over Greg Marshall in Wichita State. Hattiesburg, Mississippi is in the number 248 MSA. Southern Miss is 299 in U.S. News. R1 Carnegie Research School, 15,000 enrollment, $105 million endowment. Top 5 non-allocated revenue and ticket sales in the Sun Belt. Top 4 self-generated revenue. Southern Miss football would be top 4 attendance in the Sun Belt. They've had 3 top 25 finishes in the last quarter century. They're 5-time Conference USA champions, most recently knocking number 6 Houston out of a BCS bowl berth back in 2011. Southern Miss basketball would be top 4 men's basketball attendance in the Sun Belt. They've been to 3 NCAA tournaments and were a 9 seed in the 2012 NCAA tournament. Harrisonburg, Virginia would be the number 303 MSA. James Madison is ranked 96 academically in Forbes. They have a 22,000 enrollment, $120 million endowment, highest total revenue in the Sun Belt, top 4 in ticket sales, and the highest athletic budget in the Sun Belt. James Madison football would have a top 3 football budget in the Sun Belt. They're the 2004 and 2016 FCS national champions, as well as the 2017 and 2019 FCS national finalists. And James Madison back in 2010 knocked off Virginia Tech, who went undefeated in the ACC that year. James Madison basketball just opened a new arena. They would have the highest men's basketball budget in the Sun Belt. They've been to 5 NCAA tournaments, with NCAA tournament wins over Georgetown, Ohio State, and West Virginia in the early 80s. Norfolk is the number 37 MSA. Old Dominion is number 263 in U.S. News, number 169 in Shanghai. They're an R2 Carnegie Research School, 24,000 enrollment, $265 million endowment. Top 2 in the Sun Belt in total revenue, non-allocated revenue, self-generated revenue, and athletic budget, and would have the highest ticket sales in the Sun Belt. Old Dominion football reconstructed their stadium in 2019. They would have the highest football budget in the Sun Belt. They host Wake Forest and Virginia Tech 5 times in the future. They rebooted football in 2009 after a 69-year hiatus. Old Dominion basketball would have a top 2 men's basketball budget in the Sun Belt, as well as the highest men's basketball attendance. They've been to 12 NCAA tournaments, including NCAA tournament victories over West Virginia in 86, Villanova in 95, and Notre Dame in 2010. Here are the demographics of the Sun Belt. Obviously, unlike the American, markets aren't very important in the Sun Belt, as almost all of their members are in what you would call college towns. Obviously, a school like Georgia State, which is in Atlanta, would be an exception to that. Here are the academics for the Sun Belt. I don't think academics really plays much of a role in Sun Belt realignment. Here are the Sun Belt institutional profiles. Everyone's a public school. Enrollments vary from 9,000 to 54,000. Here are the revenues for the Sun Belt. The top revenue is the USA Today database. The bottom row is the Department of Education, Equity, and Athletics database. James Madison leads in both databases, with Old Dominion in second. Marshall is also in the top half. This graph is sorted from highest in the Department of Education, Equity, and Athletics to lowest. And using the USA Today database, this chart shows where the revenues come from, their total revenue, and where it comes from, whether it's student fees, school funds, or non-allocated revenue. Arkansas State would have the highest non-allocated revenue, followed by Old Dominion, Appalachian State, Marshall, and Southern Miss. And here are those numbers in graph form. Instead of sorting it from the highest revenue to the lowest revenue, it's instead sorted from the highest non-allocated revenue to the lowest non-allocated revenue, and the non-allocated revenue is in orange. School funds are in dark blue, and student fees are in light blue. And then all those three combined together are their total revenue. Per the Knight Commission on Intercollegiate Athletics database, here's the self-generated revenue of the Sun Belt. It's broken up into ticket sales, donor contributions, and sponsorships licensing, which add up to self-generated revenue. Arkansas State is on top, with Old Dominion close behind, followed by Appalachian State, Southern Miss, and Marshall. And here's self-generated revenue in graph form from highest to lowest. The light blue is ticket sales, the dark blue is donor contributions, and the green is sponsorships and licensing. Here are the Sun Belt athletic budgets. The top is their athletic budget according to the USA Today database, and the bottom is their athletic budget per the DOE Equity and Athletics database. James Madison is on top in both, and Old Dominion is runner-up in both. And this graph sorts it per the Department of Education Equity and Athletics numbers, which are in dark blue, highest to lowest. These are the football budgets for the Sun Belt. Old Dominion would be first, James Madison would be third, Marshall would be fourth. And here are those numbers in graph form, a lot of budget parity in the Sun Belt. Here are the men's basketball budgets in the Sun Belt. The top three are new members, James Madison, Old Dominion, and Marshall. And here are those numbers in graph form. James Madison and Old Dominion, their men's basketball budgets tower over most of the Sun Belt. Here's the rolling 3-year football attendance. Of course, it's from 2017 to 2019, so Coastal Carolina, their boost in attendance would not be included in here. And it's worth noting that Marshall, Southern Miss, James Madison, Old Dominion would all rank in the upper half of the Sun Belt. And here is the rolling 3-year attendance for men's basketball pre-COVID. Old Dominion, Marshall, Southern Miss, and James Madison would all rank top 5 in the Sun Belt. Here is the 5-year Massey composite of everyone in the Sun Belt, the American, and the Mountain West. It does not include the 2021 season, so of course a school like Coastal, their 5-year Massey composite would be higher otherwise. The Sun Belt is within striking distance of the Mountain West and the American, and with some improvement could catch them. Here is what the conference net ranking would look like for the past 3 seasons. It was 17, 14, and 18, and if you add Marshall, James Madison, Old Dominion, and Southern Miss into the picture, it goes up 1 spot in 2019, stays the same in 2020, and it goes up a couple spots in 2021. So Sun Belt basketball will probably be in that 14 to 16 range. And here are all the times each Sun Belt member has a P5 school visiting their stadium from when the new Sun Belt begins in 2023 all the way into the future per fbschedules.com. Here are the NCAA tournament appearances for each Sun Belt member and the number of times they've made it to the round of 32. Old Dominion, Louisiana, and James Madison have been to the round of 32 a trio of times. Georgia State and South Alabama have done it twice. Marshall has done it once. And here's a one-sheeter with all of that put together. The first column is ticket sales. The second column is donor contributions. The third column is sponsorships and licensing. Those 3 columns add up to the fourth column, self-generated revenue. The fifth column is the higher of their revenues between USA Today or Department of Education. The sixth column is their non-allocated revenue per the USA Today database. The next column is their athletic budget, whichever was higher between USA Today and the Department of Education. Then their football budget, then their men's basketball budget, followed by their enrollment, and then their endowment. The next is their highest academic ranking between US News, Forbes, or Shanghai. Then their Carnegie Research classification. Then their MSA ranking, followed by their 3-year rolling football attendance and men's basketball attendance. Then their 5-year Massey composite in football. The penultimate column is how many times a P5 school visits their stadium from 2023 when the new Sun Belt begins forward. And the final column is their number of NCAA tournament appearances.